Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra is now unveiled. So what does this all mean for us as users of maybe something a little bit older or people who are looking to upgrade? I'll be unpacking the unpack that they just did. So smack a like on this video, subscribe if you want more content like this, and let's dive into it. So there were a few talking points from their unpack presentation that really caught my eye. The first thing is their nightography concept. They're basically trying to sell you on the idea that this camera can be used for professional work. Now this, for somebody like me who's a professional photographer who does videography on the side as well, this is always something I look at. Now, I, for one, was able to immediately pick out the holes in this entire logic of their marketing, and that I saw a lot of the videos that these professionals were using, I saw a lot of it have black crush. And the shadows just fell apart. Even with their super HDR technology, it didn't really seem to have a ton of dynamic range. And for me, that kind of put me off a little bit. And again, it's one of those things where I feel like it's still a smartphone, right? And they're trying to make you believe that AI is going to overcome those limitations. Like, you're never going to have A7S3 quality from Sony on a smartphone, at least not right now. I mean, they're going to have to really figure out this AI thing, but for right now, we're not there. And their whole job is to make you feel like you're there. So with the video aspects, I feel like it's totally better than last year, but it's definitely not at the level that they're trying to claim that it's at with all these unpacked presentations. Again, look for the black crush in the shadows and try to make out details in their visual presentation. You'll see what I mean. Now, the other thing that kind of caught my eye that wasn't maybe a strong point for me is they're really like umpteenth quadrupling down on this everyday sustainability thing, which, of course, don't be wasteful. Make sure we're disposing of trash properly, but I feel like they're taking it a bit far. Most of the components that I've seen that are recycled in the Galaxy series this year, I feel don't really need to be recycled. I feel like if I'm buying a brand new product that you've raised the price on, everything in there had better be sourced from premium grade materials, but instead it's recycled, refurbished materials. You literally are buying a refurbished phone for full price. And I don't think they want to put the word on that. Like, saying recycled sounds way better than saying, hey guys, this is now umpteen% more recycled or refurbished, right? And I think that for me is always like a soft point for me. It's like, it's cool if you want to use recycled materials, but give a recycled price, right? But you won't make the profit if you do that, so there's no benefit in that. And for me, like, it's everything from stripping ink off the boxes, what we've seen in televisions and displays and everything like that, to, everything's minimal, so it doesn't cost them a whole lot of money to produce these things. And it really gets annoying because it's at the point where it's like you don't really have a whole lot of brand new happening here. For example, the battery. They're maintaining the same 5,000 milliamp battery on the Ultra series. That is not an upgrade. The front-facing camera's megapixel saw a downgrade, right? It's just kind of like, as far as the megapixel goes anyway. It's one of those things that's really annoying. Now, they did introduce some cool things like, you can do 4K, 60 FPS, HDR, or whatever, on the front-facing and rear camera for the first time, which is great, wonderful. They're talking about their new autofocus technology. Very enticing, looks really cool. And it just kind of feels like there are improvements, but I just don't see where it's that big of a deal over last year's model, because it literally is the same exact design. Which kind of leads me to the other thing. People were giving a ton of feedback about, hey, we want to be able to use our micro SD cards. No word on that returning. They couldn't care less. They want to sell you on the more expensive storage capacities. And this isn't even like cutting edge storage that they're putting into these devices. And that all leads to a sour taste in the consumer's mouth. So the base model now has been removed. There's no 128 gig option this year. It starts at $256, and that's gonna go for $1,100, $1,200 out the gate, right? Wow, great, fantastic. Oh, but wait, there's more. If you want to go up to the 500 gig, which is like, if you're shooting in 8K and all that stuff, you're going to need at least 500 gigs. You're going to be paying a lot more. And never mind even the terabyte. It's just these prices that these people are arbitrarily forcing up every year. I'm not seeing enough of an upgrade to justify why these prices keep changing. Now, they say this year that the screen is able to get up to 1,750 nits. I mean, that's great and all, but how much of that is actually usable before we start to see eye-searing results? I mean, I feel like on a screen that small, especially with such a pinpointed, concentrated light source coming straight at your face, it might be more harm than good. if you use it all the time indoors. So again, that'd only be useful for like maybe outdoors, like most of us, put your screen up to 100% in bright scenarios. But last year you didn't really have a problem with that. It's this hype of making everything brighter and brighter and brighter and cramming more megapixels into cameras. They find the keywords that people like, right? Like for photography, it's always been megapixels. Oh, we've got 200 megapixels. That'll sell it, right? Oh, for TVs, it's 1700 nits. Oh, the display guys will be happy. But there's so much more, like tone mapping and color rendering and you know, all this stuff that we're not really hearing. They're talking about an algorithm that desaturates color in the camera, which is fine. But they're not talking about how they're going through and improving skin tones to add lifelike skin tones for all races of people. Because, as we know, fair skin needs to be metered differently than darker skin. It's a whole different business. And I think when they try to get into this, you can produce professional results thing, and we shot this on Galaxy, they've got to do a lot more than just show up to the party like, hey, we're Samsung. And I feel like they're kind of going the route of like, hey, we can offer you nighttime videography and photography, but let's be real. Again, like I was saying, image sensors still make a big difference, and it's still a micro 1/3 sensor. They're not putting a 1-inch sensor in there, let alone a full frame. So there's so much you still can't do with these cameras, but I think that's going to go missed because it's something that's convenient and goes in your pocket. Now again, they are doing some cool things. They're talking about the world's fastest Snapdragon ever, and it's for Galaxy and all this good stuff, but ultimately, how big of a difference would that make when you're just searching the web and going on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and all that? Probably not that big of a difference for most people using those devices. And I think, yes, an improvement is nice, but they're talking about PC-level visuals on a cell phone. Like, it's a farce at this point. Like, it's just like, listen, you can put ray tracing and all that stuff, but a PC's dedicated hardware will always have an advantage because it's fully customizable. And I just feel like they're trying to play on things that they know people want and care about and trying to pretend like that's relevant in the mobile world. And for me, that's kind of where I'm just kind of like, I'm glad I have the S22, but like that's really all I need. I'm not really very impressed by what I saw overall, but I want to hear from you guys. Do you guys see what Samsung put out, and like maybe you're picking up what they're putting down? Because I'm not getting, like, they are listening to us. We still don't have headphone jacks for those who want that. We still don't have micro SD card slots, dual SIM card slots, things like that, like basic stuff that we've been talking about forever, especially as they're pushing resolution up to 8K 30 FPS. Like, you would think that they would give us the option to just throw an SD card in there, but there goes their profit, am I right? So I don't know. Enough of that. Either way, I want to hear from you guys. What do you think about this whole Samsung S23 Ultra thing down below? Thanks for watching, the #1 brand in honesty, and until the next video, I'll see you guys later.